cost to somebody. We appreciate y'all coming back to the Woodsman's Perspective podcast. We're always glad you do. I know you got a lot of things you can listen to, and we're going to try to take a deep dive today. We've got a good friend and
He's back.
Podcast, one of the original OGs of the Woodsman's Perspective podcast. We got Mitt Wardlaw in here with Midsouth Resource Management and
That's
Wildlife
right.
Investments, and
That's
we're
it.
going to talk CSP.
Among other things.
Yeah.
Among other things, but we really want to dive into the Conservation Stewardship Program and opportunities there for landowners. And
we've been tipped in it and saying some things. You'll hear us drop some CSP in the leading up to this podcast.
that's right. We've talked about
because
CSP.
I want people that I want people when they listen after they feel today. I want them to go ask questions and say, "Man, I understand what they're talking about." And Mitt, you coming in and explaining it, that element that you got now with added to Midsouth Resource. I mean, if it wouldn't been for you, I wouldn't have my contract.
Well, from the
So-
very beginning, we've talked
Yeah.
about land management,
Yes.
land ownership, how to improve it, and opportunities to be efficient about it as far as cost.
Right.
Well,
And so that's from the very first podcast.
What do you think about it, Mitt? Because give them a little bit of history of the CSP, because it started off more agriculture, right? It was an agriculture program.
Well, I mean, these programs have ever developed, but where we became interested in it is, in our other businesses that you alluded to, Midsouth Resource Management, and now more recently the wildlife investments. We're working with landowners, and our sole job is to improve whatever resource concerns that they have, whether it be, wildlife management, improve aesthetics, increase land property values, whatever that is, we're plugging in, at the ground level and trying to accomplish those goals and lay out a plan for those landowners. And so we were getting more and more questions asked. All right, I've got this great plan. The resources and financial commitment that's going to take to do some of these is oftentimes, more than my budget.
Well, everybody don't have a mulcher, a dozer, how to operate it, but they got 80 or 100 acres of land or 200 acres of land, and they've got these ideas. They hear us talk about widening roads.
Yep.
They hear us talk about spraying and burning pine plantations.
Yep.
It all sounds great until you got to do it, and we got life is busy.
Yep.
We talk about that.
Yep.
But at the end of the day,
That's right.
It's
Comes
the
down
money.
to the money.
it comes down to money.
Well, and so the USDA and NRCS programs were created for that sole purpose, to come alongside the landowners and assist them in doing this type of management work. Because, from NRCS perspective, what better way to put those practices on the ground than come alongside the private landowner? That's who owns the land. I mean, the public land that we have across the United States, it's a thimbleful.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to make a difference in, promoting the natural resources and making that better, what better way for the U.S. government to come in some cases the state, to come alongside the private landowner to enhance those
But I've heard your biologists, Bronson and Goolsby and all them, what's the number one thing they talk about? Habitat management.
Yep.
Well, I told you a long time ago, me and you laughed 20 years ago. I said, Mitt, anything that has to do with wildlife has to do with cost money, not make money.
Yeah.
And
Generally
it's a
speaking,
lot of
that's right.
truth to that.
Yep.
And even the Brent, you think about the fields that you plant. I mean, you're spending $500,000 a year just planting food plots and bush hogging and
Did he say 500,000?
500 to 1,000.
Okay, all right, just to
500 to
clarify that.
1,000. But I mean, think about
It made
that.
me a big shot for a minute.
Yeah,
You took
I
me
called it out.
You
sorry.
took me out.
Yeah, and Mitt stick to damn
Look,
moon.
I let it go. I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? The people that are, and a lot of people that listen to this podcast and send us messages, and they're pretty aggressive. They love land.
Yep.
They love to work on it. But God, wouldn't it be awesome to love land, love to work on it, and somebody in the government give you a little cash?
Yeah,
do
to
I think
to
it
meet those
speaks to
objectives.
the impact, and I think we'll probably we'll touch on this as you go through the details of the program, but it speaks to how important what you do maybe on a micro level on a property, how that affects that macro, or it's all the connectivity of the landscape. It matters what happens here in the overall health of wildlife and the land, I think that's the reason for the subsidy, for the opportunity, for the cost share, and so I'll say up front early in the podcast, the fiscal conservative in me has a little, I look at it kind of side eye because it's a government program. But when you look at, if not this way, it's not going to get subsidized. So then why? The potential impact of these things not happening is so big. I'm on board with the program. Politically, that helped me with it.
A thing that I think about, and I've never I was against CRP. I was against any kind of government program. I never took a government dime. Cost share on reforestation, I pay for it myself. I just didn't want to be attached.
Had a stigma to it.
To a 15-year contract that the government, because we all got a little bit of rebel in us, or outlaw. We think the government's going to take something from us if we sign up.
Also, it becomes an encumbrance on a property.
It does because correct. If I sell a place that I've already signed up in a CRP contract 15 years, the person I sell it to has got to take that contract, or he's got to repay the money.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's some things.
And that history has carried into some of these other programs that they very specifically addressed those concerns, revamped them, but that stigma's still there, and so we can talk about
so
some
mental and
no doubt.
And I was the old timber people that I was raised around. Ralph Williams and them, he wouldn't take $1. If he bought a piece of land that had government, he'd pay. He was just that old school. And let me tell you something. I've lost a lot of financial opportunities. I've lost my ass not signing up than when I could have signed up and got that money. Yeah. And I was too hard-headed and dumb to do it.
Yeah. Well,
so you want to run us through
the
program?
It's revamped. It's not
it's not
your daddy's program.
We set the table pretty well for the
Tell
conversation.
about the forestry side of the CSP.
Well, it's number one, it's not your daddy's program anymore. So a lot of the things and the concerns that people didn't like about the older programs, they have been revamped. And, we keep talking about CSP, but there's a lot of opportunities. And that's really, once we started getting landowners asking us this, and we were already on the landscape making the plans. So we made ourselves students of that game. And we learned the ins and outs because it can be as complicated as tax law. I mean, it's not real easy. And I understand the reasons, it needs to be that for, accountability and make sure that we're getting, when us tax dollars, when we're paying in, we want to make sure we're getting a good, return on that investment from a taxpayer standpoint. And so these programs are laid out really, really good. The people that administer them do a really good job of that. But at the same time, they have fixed a few of the things that were once concerns.
Getting corruption.
A lot of that. It's a lot more accountability in it than probably what it used to be. And so there's one of the misconceptions about there that it's a financial windfall. Well, that's not the intent of the program. The intent of the program is to come alongside the landowner. So money that we take in, they associate those different practices with roughly what those practices should cost. And so it's really it should be, a zero-sum game. Yeah. That's what it should be.
So a landowner does not need to go in this thing thinking, I'm going to get me a land. I can get this CSP and go buy me a tractor.
That's right.
Because it ain't that way. And let me tell you, we learned, they're watching it. It's not a land grab, but what it does, if you was to get, I'm just going to throw a number, if you was to get $200,000 over 5 years, but you got to put $200,000 in your piece of land, look at the benefits.
Well,
that
so
it could
if
gain,
you want to take it back to a financial gain, the money invested into the property, we're seeing it time and time again on the land values before and after those improvements. It's like night and day.
Well, I can tell you one right off the bat: widening roads.
Yeah,
I mean, just boom, just throwing it out there because you're gonna get into it.
Right.
Who don't love a wide? Any piece of property you go look at, Brent, or you go look to list, a wide road, selling point.
Yeah. Yep. The only people that don't are the people that don't understand the benefits just yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because there's a lot more benefits than just the width. I can get through it easy. I can navigate it. It's a lot of
it's so much you can do.
So back to your comment, Brent. I'm looking at the taxpayers' investment into that no different than our roads and bridge infrastructure. I mean, we're investing into those natural resources, and arguably, I would say they're just as important as anything else that we're investing into. We don't own the wildlife. I mean, the state and the federal agencies have made that clear. We don't own that. And so I think it's very appropriate for them to come alongside us as private landowners, as the caretakers, the gamekeepers,
Stewardship.
the
It's in the name.
stewardship of that
CSP,
land,
yes,
them coming alongside to
But
forward that progress.
I see justifiability for the government money, not just a waste. You look at the wildfires, Texas,
Right.
out in the Midwest. A lot of these CSP practices, what does it do?
Yep.
It
Reduces that-
solves,
fuel.
Yep.
it
load.
reduces that fuel, and hey, just because, just say a guy that got CSP and a wildfire's coming, it hits his land, my land's behind it, he saved my tail.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
A
And
100-foot
so,
wide road.
Yeah,
and it's fire.
and thinning and the density and doing some mulching and some burning. He saved my property indirectly, and he could have saved lives of firefighters. And
that's a good point.
And that's one reason I think Trump has not crushed it, because he can tie these practices. Trump's a real estate guy.
yeah.
I think he can tie these practices into good.
There's
and
a return on that taxpayer.
That's
investment.
exactly right. I think he can, and I think
Well,
that's why he's
and so,
allowed it.
The practice manual is 2 inches thick. And so to your point on the wildfire prevention and the fuel reduction, all that. So a lot of these practices, not every practice is going to be applicable to our place and the Black Prairie of Mississippi.
That's right.
And so
Region to region.
There's several practices in there that are site specific to all lands
Your
across
region.
the U.S.
Yeah.
There'll be practices that are tailored for out west
Midwest,
that
yeah.
don't apply to us, and vice versa. I mean, we've got a lot of longleaf initiatives.
Water conservation.
water
stuff out
conservation
west
that'll
and
be specific to out west. That a longleaf pine initiative will be specific to the southeast. And so
Southeast, yeah.
those are examples of that, but. The cost share programs are a really good thing, and we're seeing a lot of good benefits. And when used correctly and accurately, I mean, they're putting a lot of value back into the.
You've been in the
back into
ag
land.
business over 20 years. Are you seeing a lot more people now signing up for land enhancements now than they used to?
Well, than they used to.
Our
but,
side,
yeah,
not
but-
the farming side.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the ag side, matter of fact, we've got a lot of my company, Southern Ag Consulting. We're on a lot of farms, working with a lot
Right.
of farmers, and I don't know that I know of one that's not participating in the program.
See, the good part about you and your company, how you took that ag, you have taken that ag information and ability,
that
'cause
mentality.
you find out stuff
Yeah.
that we don't even know, and sign it up. And now you've got into this CSP, this cost share, this fire on a 40. You'll list them out later. I mean, you got an equip. I mean, these are things that landowners.
Look, that's a consultant.
And I'll
That's
tell
the
you,
value of a consultant.
and I'll
You're
tell you
out
another
ahead of-
thing where I get nervous. I'm not the sharpest guy filling out paperwork. Dan, you're on a computer. You know that. I can text and I can read an email, but y'all take care of that, and that's
Yeah.
part of the game.
Yeah.
You've won on the sideline right
Yeah.
there.
Well, and look, I'm not going to take credit for that. I've got some really smart guys that are working for me. We've got retired NRCS guys. We got young guys that are really good on the technology, and it takes a team to do
That's
this.
the ticket. Having that NRCS guy that has been there 20-something years,
Yeah.
and he knows,
Understands the program.
and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a
Yep.
good guy, and he's always took care of his. That helps you.
No
a
doubt
lot.
about it. No doubt about it. And we wouldn't be doing it if we weren't. So, as the consulting, Brent, as you mentioned, our responsibility, we view this as looking for every opportunity to bring value back to the landowner, whether that be, protecting him from, a stink bug infestation in soybeans or bringing a cost share opportunity to, a forest landowner. I mean, all of it's what can we do to bring value back to the the clients that we have from a consulting standpoint. And so the cost share programs is just one of those. And so we're taking it upon ourselves to keep our finger on the pulse of all the opportunities. We're talking about CSP, but there's a lot of state and federal, cost share opportunities, and even some new tax incentives. Tax code 180. We'll talk about that a little later. That are opportunities for landowners for tax avoidance. I mean, nothing wrong with that. We need to be taking full advantage of all the opportunities that are legitimate that just nobody knows about. And we're looking at that's our responsibility to be keep up to date on the opportunities that we can bring back to our consultants.
It was really, it was funny to me, and me and Brent was talking about. the government allowed a consultant in the CSP to be, and what was TS? What'd you say earlier?
The technical service provider.
That's
TSP.
right. So that's what y'all are.
Yep.
Y'all are TSP.
Correct.
So the government allowed y'all to be able to set up these for individual landowners. A person like me or Brent that really don't know, and Brent would be sharp. He could fill out stuff, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
To be able to do it, and there's a fee set there. What do y'all try to get?
So it's generally it's 10% of the gross money annually, and the way that money comes in will determine how we get paid too. And so if the landowner's not successful in the enrollment, we don't get paid. Really? That's the bottom line.
So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of back up and set the process, maybe barriers to entry, and how you go about it. So from what are some of the things, what are some of the on the ground things that are included, and then how do you go about the process of signing up and working through it,
so people can understand.
Right. So what all can you do? Like what all is included in?
Right. So the first thing is in the process, and I'm going to kind of walk you through kind of hypothetical how we would work with the landowner.
Let's just say 100-acre tract. I mean, throw it out.
So first thing we want to understand is what the landowner's objectives are. I mean, that's bar none the most important thing. And so you're going to get everything from aesthetics to I want to maximize my timber value. I'm only worried about wildlife, deer and turkey habitat. And so when you get that understanding, then we can start taking that, figure out what resources that we have on the landscape. Are we dealing with bottomland hardwood? Are we dealing with
thin pine
plantations, thin or unthin? That will determine which practices we're eligible for. And so taking the landowner's objectives with the land that we have to work with, then we'll start narrowing down the opportunities for the practices of what we'll put on that landscape.
So you try to craft enhancements and practices that would
Yes.
fit that.
Yep.
Because there's, like you said, there's a stack of them. How
Yes.
many is it? 200 of them, I
There's
guess.
a lot more than that. It's a bunch of them.
I mean, so it's different ones.
And so there's compatibilities that you have to consider. There's programs that you can stack on top of each other, that complement each other. There's some that you can't put on the same acre. So having that level of understanding is very, very helpful to be able to maximize the opportunities for the landowner.
And a common landowner wouldn't know. He wouldn't know.
Well, he could, and he has the same abilities that we do. So from a TSP standpoint, a technical service provider allows the private sector, through proper training and testing, you can get to a spot to where you can do some of the work that an NRCS office does on a landowner's behalf. Not all of it, but some. And so we do have some TSP on staff that can do that. An example of that would be writing a forestry management plan. You have to be a technical service provider to be a forester technical service provider. So there's a lot of opportunities to be a technical service provider, but you have to have the background, the experience, the college education, whatever the credentials are.
For the all the way back to the taxpayer, my money
no doubt about
spent
it.
wisely.
Yep. And so the TSP can't just anybody be that. You have to make sure you have the expertise and the education to be able to facilitate that information that you're putting out.
Right.
And so we've got those guys in place, on our team. But an example of the TSP and the forester side would be writing a forestry management plan. Well, there's money available, called a CAP 106, that I can get a forester to write me a 5-10 year management plan. So if that forester understands these programs that we're talking about, he's already outlining all these opportunities in that forestry management plan, basically a playbook that you can take right to the NRCS office and get these practices put on your ground, already laid out in where they're going, what's compatible, what's not. So really it's a cheat sheet for these opportunities moving forward. And not only that, the federal government will pay to get that forestry management plan written.
Now, these are NRCS programs. These are
Correct.
not FSA.
Correct.
But let's reel back one. Everybody's got to have a track and farm number.
Yeah. So that's the first. That's the first step.
Everybody
to get signed up.
So and how to get that track and farm number. Mitt, tell them how to get that.
Well, you'll take a deed to the FSA office to get even started in the program, because that's the way that you get registered. I guess your land will be qualified at the FSA office to even be in the system. It's be like your Social Security number.
That's
Right.
step one.
That's step one.
one.
Yeah.
You got it. You can't go no.
That's right.
You can't even take step 2 without step 1.
That's right.
Tracking
that's step
farm
one.
number is number 1. So if you're making a plan, if you're listening to this podcast, we're going to do a little note at the end. But tracking farm number, go to the FSA office.
Yeah.
Some counties have 3 offices.
Yeah.
I mean, share 3 counties with 1 office.
Yeah, the personnel. I mean,
Most time they're a red brick building.
Yeah, right.
And they'll have that USDA.
They're bad understaffed, so sometimes now they'll consolidate.
Yeah.
One county may service 3 or 4 counties around that.
So if you got your NRCS, go get a copy of your deed from the courthouse if you don't have one.
Well, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is to call us.
Yes,
We can help you. We can help you
Yeah.
facilitate all
Get
that.
all that stuff, yeah.
And get that way when you walk into the FSA office, you have everything concise, all the forms filled out. There'll be some things that'll accompany the deeds for your farmer track number, and we can help you with all that stuff.
Because I'll tell you why.
Well informed.
I knew somebody that carried one into an office, and he said, "I need one," and a year later he got it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not.
You need an agent. You
It's
need, a
you
consultant
need
or agent
somebody.
working for you.
I'm telling y'all, guys, I can do about anything there is in the land business, but they set my place. That's something that I couldn't do. And if you're one of those sketchy guys, I ain't wasting that money. It's the best 10% I ever spent in my life.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that, and we think so too, because I was dabbling in this
Well, I
world
wasn't
just
a
like
guy.
you were before we started
Yeah.
really getting into it. And I understand the difficulty, and luckily I had some really, really good offices that were my main county, and so I had really good guys that helped me at the NRCS level. But the way that I spent time with them and worried them, there is no way they could spend time with all their customer base like they spent
they don't
time
have
with
enough
me.
time. And a lot of times there's
No.
only one soil conservationist to share all those counties. Well, you think about if 10 people signed up and that NRCS guy had to write those plans for all 10 of them,
Yeah.
I can just tell you
It's just a bottleneck.
some
You
of
need
them
a
not going to
bottleneck
some of them not going to get in because
administratively.
they don't have enough time. I mean, it is a
It is a real
because
time
those
suck.
guys have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I mean, those
With
soil
other
conservations are
responsibilities.
cool guys, but they have other responsibilities. Which how about this? They have a whole job of responsibilities they've got to do.
Yeah. And they're, I mean,
Because basically,
honestly,
y'all getting them the paperwork, everything ready for them.
well, in the perfect world, what our goal is to make it really, really easy on the landowner to sign up, and then bring the information to the NRCS office that makes their job easy too. So we really want it to be a win-win on both sides. That's our desire. Are we perfect at that? No. But we're learning, we're getting better, and it's going to be a really, really good. I feel like it's going to be a good service that's already well received.
I think it's a dynamite. I mean, y'all signed up 5 of my clients, and I got to add them. 1, 2, 3. 4 of the 5 got in.
Yeah. Well, and speaking
that's
to that,
pretty big.
well, it's a competitive process, and so when you put in your application, they take your application, the practice that you're putting out, and the acreage that you have. They take all these things, and basically it's a metric to come up with a ranking number. And so it's competitive. And so depending on how you rank, they start at the top and work backwards until the money's gone.
So it ain't no under the table. It's a ranking. It's
absolutely.
That thing is put in a computer,
Yep.
and it ranks those things. And those rankings are off the practices.
The type of land that you've got, which practices you put in there. It's a very sophisticated ranking process. And so if you have an understanding of that, you can start making your practices and your plan that can intentionally rank you higher.
Right.
So there is some strategy in that game to, rank as high, because it's a competitive process, and we're trying to get
real
our
funny
customers.
to me. But your guy, your old NRCS guy,
Yep.
said, "Chris, we got to put you some butterfly habitat." I said, "What? No butterfly habitat?" He said,
Right.
"Yeah, you do."
Yeah.
He said, "We need it for the ranking." I
Yeah.
said, "Okay."
So it's a comprehensive plan.
It's
so
a very comprehensive plan that takes it considers a lot of different factors in there.
It's not simple.
And
I can tell you.
And so the butterfly habitat, we'll pick on that one too. And there's a few other ones.
Bats,
Bat and den habitat, snag trees. I mean, things that you would read the heading of that practice and gloss right over.
Well, tie it back.
That's right. But if you really have an understanding of what the landowner's trying to do, and I'll use you for an example. This place down here, it's overstory hardwoods, closed canopy. I mean, Chris will admit it's not the best habitat. So one of the things that we put together in Chris's plan is, all right, how can I reduce my overstory to increase the early successional habitat some spots in my hardwood? Well, there's only one way to do that, and that's to reduce some trees. So there's some practices in there. One's snagging den trees. Well, what's that got to do with reducing the overstory and put sunlight on the ground? Well, that snagging den tree program is taking out a certain number of trees with an X diameter throughout the acreage, which reduces the canopy above.
The canopy.
You're killing some trees in the canopy that will put light on there. So Chris is now a year behind that, and so you can share your experiences on what that looks like. And so the opportunities to be able to see those practices and see where they fit in there. Because, like you said, we would gloss right over, a butterfly habitat or snag and den trees. We would gloss right over that.
And my thing is, I could give two a butterfly or a bat in my mind.
I kind of like butterflies.
But in my mind.
I like censorship.
But in my mind, I was wanting to produce natural food that Bronson got on me about in that hardwood stand. And I did all of the above with a hack and squirt method.
Yeah.
And so now I love bats, and I got me a butterfly hat.
I love butterfly hat.
Yeah, I love butterflies.
Yeah,
I'm riding a 10-speed, and I'm throwing milkweed out. that's the kind of guy I am.
I haven't seen that program yet.
But
he loves to say, Brent's got some video he'll show you. We got any video with that?
So what we're gonna have to do is get Brent's old 10-speed out, and I'm gonna have a butterfly thing. I'm gonna throw some milkweed. But being funny, but that is, y'all sign me up for the bat and the butterflies and that type of habitat and reducing. But guess what? I got to increase
sunlight.
Sunlight and forage for the deer and stuff for the turkeys. Brooding cover for the turkeys.
Yeah.
Under that thing. And listen, I'm fishing them. I got a crew coming here in another 2-3 weeks, and we fishing a stab at it again because it is a. You're almost like you're thinning your timber, but you're not having to log and tearing your roads up.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I explain that
That's
to
a
people.
good way to put it, too.
And everybody's like, well, why would you just kill trees? But the ones I killed were hickory trees this big. And Mason, I just cut one of them and counted the rings. And it was 30 years old.
Yeah.
That tree would have never become a saw log nor a good piece of hardwood pulp because it was growing under this timber was thinned by a tornado. 1998, how long was that? Almost 30 years, 27, 28 years ago. And the habitat was wonderful. Well, over the years.
Well, that was a good point on what you're talking about on the pre-commercial thin, if you will, because number one, we're in a spot now where a lot of this timber that used to be merchantable,
loggers ain't thinning.
It's not merchantable.
They're not coming thin no more.
And even when you do get to a section of timber that has some merchantable timber on it, to your point, you take the value of that timber, leaving on a truck, against what it's going to take to fix the damage of a logging crew.
I'm telling you.
And you can see to where.
Look, I've run them for 25 years.
But our number one, and you and I talk about this all the time, Chris, is that the number one thing that the landowner's telling us about that's holding me back from accomplishing my goals from a habitat standpoint is I can't get my timber thinned.
Yes.
I've been waiting on 3-4 years on getting my timber thin, and I'm in a stalemate.
And Brent sees this. Small tracks, 20s, 15, you could give it to them, they won't come get it.
That's right.
We don't have a logging force, and I understand what their cost is. Their insurances, $1 million to get you in logging when $250,000 used to get you into it.
Yep.
It take you $1 million to get into it now.
It's cost to move.
And you can't find truck drivers. So all of that.
And put on top of that, the landowner is saying,
ain't get no money.
I don't care about the timber value no more than it is. I bought this track, and my intention of this track is recreational enhancements. I want to increase the turkey habitat. I want to have better and bigger deer. The timber is
on ability.
That's right. And so they can't get the timber thin if they wanted to. So these programs allow through, I would say, unconventional, means, whether we've got, some type of mechanical, herbicide, fire, there's a lot of different ways that we can accomplish that same type of objective. So it's really understanding what the landowner wants and then work backwards into the practices that would fit that.
To talk about the application CSP in that scenario you just said, where now if that landowner could get somebody in here, he's just about a wash on what the timber value would bring versus what the damage it was going to do.
Yep.
Here's this program. If you just look at the dollars, it's a cost share. Financially, he may be the same or better going this route instead.
That's right,
and taking it out through either road widening or hack and squirt or things like that.
Yep. That's right.
And we're just throwing. You'll hear me during this throw some different things out that it was used on some of my clients, and the contract that we got, it was widening roads, hack and squirt, fire, all the stuff that we talk about as being habitat and managing, and that's stuff that the government is paying me to do.
That's right. Yeah,
I mean, they're paying me to go in there and kill those trees. They're paying me to widen these roads. They're paying me to patch burn.
Okay. And all those things that you're talking about, you're really talking about the tool to do it. That's all falls under that umbrella of timber stand improvement. Right. I mean, and there's a category of practices that do that. Timber stand reduction. That's what we're doing. So
like we did on one of those other farms over there.
There's a lot of opportunities to be able to do that, getting creative, and that's where it's really good about the NRCS practices allow you a lot of flexibility on how to accomplish those goals.
What I really liked about the NRCS that they've really open-minded to a lot of these wildlife.
No doubt, they understand
things
that's
that they
what's
didn't used to
these
do.
Landowners.
I mean, these wide roads. I mean, whoever figured you could widen the road 100 feet? I mean, let me tell you,
and what that does for wildlife.
Oh my gosh,
unbelievable!
It's unbelievable.
And so that's part of so speak to that as far as the program and the cost share opportunity.
And so that would be falling under the umbrella of timber stand reduction. Is they allow you to take roads that everybody's got them, closed canopy, they stay wet and muddy, they don't serve any purpose, no sunlight hits the road. Well, there's a program that you can go in and they'll pay you dollars per acre to widen that road back up to 100 feet on either side. And so we can start developing, early successional habitat, food plots on that roadside, all the benefits from the daylight in that road would absolutely.
Well, the erosion control, I'm glad you said that, Brent. How many of us and there's listeners have walked through these old logging and the water be washed the road out?
Yeah.
The road and you got you got the covered
right,
and you got the
water.
Road
ought to be the ditch.
The road is the ditch.
It's the ditch.
Well, but if that road would have been 100 foot
and
wide,
it's in the shade,
and I'm
so
on
it can never
50
dry.
foot on each side of the center line of that road, I think you can go up to 100 feet.
That's right.
Okay, you think about that. Now that thing gets that sunlight, it's not going to erode as much because it's dry. Right. And what I'm doing, I'm putting clovers on the sides of the roads. But I ain't dumb. The government's thinking that's also going to make us a fire break.
That's right.
Boom. If something got crazy, because look, once these wildfires start getting crazy, I can't wait for that landowner to have a good road. Stop it.
Right.
I mean, I've had them jump out and they stop when they got to a food plot or somebody's road.
That's right.
It's funny, if you want to burn cut over, sometimes it'll stop on a deer trail.
That's right.
That's right.
You're
right.
But you can't. It won't stop on a deer trail when it's a wildfire, because that's when those conditions are volatile. We talk about burning right at the edge of volatility. So.
But Mitt, as far as signing it up, y'all actually go out. Your team would go out and walk the, unless they had a forest like on mine. I had forest plans prior.
That's right.
To y'all signing up, so I knew the property. I knew how many acres were pine plantation been thin. I knew how many acres were bottomland hardwood, and I was able to. So y'all actually work. If people do have some forestry consultants that they've been working for, y'all would work with them.
That's
and
right.
Say, hey,
and it's important
what
because
is your,
the forestry management plan that you had, Chris, on yours, unlocked some other opportunities for some practices. If you already have a forestry management plan on there, then the next level is a CAP 106. That's a very specific forestry management plan that's only can be done by a TSP. And what that does is take basically a traditional forest management plan and then marry that with all the opportunities from a CSP standpoint. And that having that on file even unlocks more opportunities, puts you in a
better rankings,
yes, and other opportunities from practices that you wouldn't have had if you didn't have the plan.
You're going to hear us say during this thing, rankings.
Yep.
Rankings are the key to it.
No doubt about it.
Brent's Pine Plantation, in my pine plantation, just say they're the same. Okay, been thin the same time. I had a forest management plan. Brent didn't have one. I got more points for mine because I'd run a little fire under mine.
That's right.
Okay, Brent's same as mine. Same time they were thin. I'm going to rank higher than Brent because I've got a forest management plan and I have run some patch fire.
That's right.
So your prior history of your track helps you.
Yeah, and
correct?
if the TSP is really savvy, your Cap 106 plan will be written such a way where it'll be laid out where he understands the incentives and the practice need to put on there that'll give you a higher ranking. So not only just the fact that you have one, also the practices he's going to recommend in the right spots is going to put you at a better ranking too. And so it's everybody that owns land needs a Cap 106.
Yeah.
I mean, sign up for it, get in touch with us. We can make you a Cap 106. You get paid for it. So if you never do not one practice after that Cap 106,
still got a 10-year plan.
Still got a 10-year plan, and it's paid for.
So let me throw you this. From a tax-wise, say you don't do any of this stuff, that Cap 106, when you write off stuff for your tree farm.
Oh, yeah. There's your legitimacy.
There's your legitimacy.
Yep.
Your farm and tract number. Think about this, y'all. Everybody listening. I don't care if you do this or not. Go get you a farm and tract number. Because if you got a farm and tract number, you got a timber management plan, you are legitimately a business that can write off expenses. And nobody can knock at you. You got a farm number, you got a management plan, and you've got expenses that you've worked and wrote off.
Yeah.
So if you just if you just get this out of this, get you a forest management plan and get you a farm and tract number.
Yeah.
Because that helps you write off
on the farm and tract number.
Your basis too.
Yeah.
When you go to sale, you turn that
That's
around.
correct.
Well,
and I went and got my accountant after he did our podcast. I went and got him a farm and tract number because then you can legitimately write off a lot of these things and not be scared if you did get audited. Here's my farm and tract number.
Yeah.
Here's my management plan. Here's what I laid out. Like Mitt said, that schedule: fire lanes, burning, thinning.
You got Mitt squinting over here.
Yeah.
It's got me nervous.
But you know what I'm saying? No, that's true. I mean, I do it all the time.
Where my mind was, Brent, was the sleeper in all this that nobody really thinks about. Is say that we have a hurricane come through here and knocks down all your timber, Chris.
Smokes it. Yep.
The federal government comes in with some disaster relief funds
Money
to pay for that. Guess who's not eligible for that?
The one that don't have the
farmer tract numbers.
That's right.
Wow.
So if you don't do it for any other reason,
100%.
you need to be you need to have your land
because
with a farmer tract number.
FEMA disaster covers 80-20.
Correct.
That's
because
80%. I mean that's pretty good.
And don't nobody know more about storms and Brent as far as knocking down and damage that they can do y'all putting stuff up. And these pine beetle outbreaks.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
That's
Alabama, Mississippi,
and
Georgia.
they're starting to have some money available.
Now they have money available. Guess what? Got to have a
farmer tract number.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, and look, don't wait till your last time. Just go do it. And it may take them you understand something. They got a job.
Yeah.
But they'll get to it, and it really helps them if you carry the deed in there. Go and get you a map.
With the proper paperwork.
Yes. Too much information, they love it.
Yeah.
Because it helps them. Hey, section, township, range, have you a little cheat sheet, who you got it from, because it may be in the prior landowner's name. And if you've got any farming history on your track, you probably got somebody had a track number, farm number, because they can't get paid their government assistance.
CRP,
or
you'll have
crop insurance, right?
Right.
I mean, you got to have farm track number
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So on more just specifics about the program, it's 5-year contract. Is that right? 5-year plan and 5 years.
CSP, and so that's and all these programs are different. CSP is the way that I like to think about a CSP is Conservation Stewardship Program is coming alongside of landowners that are doing that work anyway and incentivizing them to do more or enhance what they're already doing even more. And so it's a 5-year contract with these practices. And so when you commit to that 5-year, what you're committing to is doing the work and then getting paid. And so it's not like the CRP where you have to pay back with penalties and things like that. If you elect to get out or sell the land, I mean, you can opt out of the program with no harm, no foul.
So this is performance. It's more or less performance-based. You do the work, you pay, then is it reimbursable?
So it is a reimbursable.
Okay.
So you'll do the practice, and all the practices have a schedule that they pay per acre. So it's irrelevant to what it costs you to do it. It's what the practice pays, and they have that preset.
Like a mechanic, they go in the book. You
That's
got
right.
time. This
That's
is what
right.
this job's going to be. So it's similar. So that goes back to sort of verification, protecting the taxpayer
That's right.
investment. That nobody
that's
can
that
pencil
accountability
with.
level there. And so I don't know who set that schedule, but some of them they got really, really close, and some of them they have way off. And I've seen some of the practices we can routinely do it cheaper than what they pay, and I've seen some that you can't even get close to doing that practice for what they're
like the widening the roads.
Yeah,
it's great if you got smaller material, but if you got row hole material,
it's not gonna.
You're talking about $1,500 an acre. You trying to widen,
That's
so
right.
you got there's where the TSP
right.
guy.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
TSP guy goes in there and says, "Hey, Chris,
Yep.
you ain't gonna want to take your hardwoods out. Let's put this wide road over here on this fire lane side, where you got this 2-year-old cutover. Then we can run a mulcher in there, and that's what I did.
To give some context around what kind of money we're talking about, some of the the CRP type mid-contract management tools, like they were a joke. So if you've got that type of cost share in your mind, you're probably rolling your eyes at this even opportunity because a herbicide application will cost us $100. They may pay $15 on it on the old CRP mid-contract management. Well, the CSP. You start doing some of this, timber stand improvements. I mean, most of those are $200 plus an acre.
So I also read the minimum went up from $1,500 to $4,000 on CSP. Just the minimum
payment.
Oh yeah, I get you. Yeah,
so that's big. That's over
right.
2 times. I mean, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, and you're getting that
good.
just to be a part of the program. Yeah.
So it all goes off Social Security number, right?
Yeah, right.
Don't matter if you got an LLC. None of that matters if it's in a corporation. It goes off an individual Social Security number, and that Social Security number, unless they've changed it, is good for $200,000. Am I right?
Well, yeah. The way that I'd rather think about that is the cost share cap financially is $200,000
per social.
Per social. That's right. And so there's some other ways or some partnerships that if you have enough land to be eligible for that could double that. Mm-hmm. And so there is a lot of strategy in, putting together the acreage and the participants and the way that you line that up to make sure that we're maximizing the opportunity for the landowner.
So
there's a lot of strategy
terms,
in that.
If you've got 40 acres, you're probably not going to get $200,000 because you can't have enough practices.
That's right.
But you may could get $50,000.
You may could.
And so what is the good? I know I'm gonna put you on the hot seat.
Yeah.
The good rule of thumb to maximize the 200,000 is what? 400 acres?
Yeah.
300 acres?
Well, that's the rule of thumb. I've seen our NRCS guy do as good as maximize that money on as little as 120 acres. Now, that piece of property was very unique.
Had to have been perfect.
It had everything going for it, and we could put a lot of practices on there. The landowner was interested in a lot of things and wanted to accomplish some goals that most of us probably wouldn't be interested
probably
in.
Expensive stuff.
And so, that one was an exception, not the rule.
Because look, you can get into those butterfly habitats. I mean, that seed's $800 a bag, $1,000 a bag. I mean, it gets very, very
and
expensive.
Then if say you have 100 acres of 3-year-old cutover, there's not a lot of practices that we can put on that. But if you get the tracks that are
a good thin
good thin pines that's got a good proportion of pines and hardwoods, got some old fields, those are the ones that
really check the box.
That's right. And a good rule of thumb was probably be 300 to 400 acres, give or take. You're probably going to maximize that cost share opportunity.
Yeah. And I'm not going to mention on this podcast, but good TSP people like y'all have other information that the common owner would know to get higher rankings. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get it.
Well,
we're not going to get into that, but there's some, and even the government, if you went to them and said, I don't want to sign up myself, and they'll help you sign up, but they're not going to check those boxes that y'all would check.
Well, and it's no secrets about that. And one of them would be a beginning farmer.
Yeah.
I mean, a beginning farmer has a different ranking And the way that you qualify to a beginning farmer is not having a Schedule F filed on your 1040 1 year out of 10. So if you sign a Schedule F 9 years out of 10 and had one that didn't, you would qualify for beginning farmer. And that allows you to be ranked differently than anybody else. So
than a guy that farms.
That's right. And there's a few other, little nuances
things.
like that just if you know, everything's above board and straight up. But
so like Fire on the 40 has counties that are given preference. So let me back up. The state of Mississippi has a Fire on the 40 cost share program, and it's competitively ranked also, the applications based on overall improvement or overall benefit of what your plan is.
Right.
But also counties and areas have preference.
And the way that comes up be initiatives. I mean, if you start moving south of here, especially in the southeastern part of the state, I mean, you can start getting to that longleaf pine initiative.
Yeah.
And those counties are very specific. And so they're tailoring several programs that really are trying to incentivize these landowners to move in that direction. You start getting in the northeast part of the state and the north central, you start getting to that Bob White Quail initiative.
Yeah.
And so there's even
stuff.
different buckets of money for that.
Let me
so
ask,
understanding all that and taking that advantage of those.
Thinking about that, is there an advantage if a landowner, whether small landowner or large landowner, I don't guess it matters, is there an advantage to getting with your neighbors and going, and could that increase the ranking possibly of your plan? Like if you were to put more acreage together, more landowners together, could you improve the overall?
So that's program specific, but absolutely some programs look at what's the proximity to a federal refuge that's already doing this? What's the proximity to other programs that we've already successfully implemented next to a property that's signing up? Depending on the depending on the program that you're doing, some of them do have that. Not all of them, but some of them.
I think philosophically it speaks to.
Oh, no doubt.
It speaks to the purpose of the program. Is you look at, if you can do this across the landscape, you're maximizing the advantage.
Yep.
But I guess there's also a scenario where we talk about limiting factors. Sometimes something that you're doing, if it's already a lot of it, I guess the other side is it could bring you maybe down.
Well,
I mean, I may be overthinking that too, but
there's
if
a couple
already
ways to think about that. And so, number one, just from the landowner's perspective, we've talked about, even on this podcast, landowners associations. And we have the tendency, and maybe from a little bit, and I've fallen guilty of this in the past too, but more of a tunnel vision, narrow viewpoint is, I just want to do this on my tracks, and I really hope my neighbors don't participate. My track's going to be better than theirs. Well, what we learned, probably through a little bit of maturity, that if everybody's pulling together, we're going to be the sum of the parts. Is
an additive effect,
no doubt about it. And so
you always say the rising tide, like it lifts all boats.
And so if my neighbors and my neighbors' neighbors are having the similar direction and pulling in the same direction, you can see where exponentially I'm going to be able to move that needle way better than if I was on an island by myself.
And is that somewhat reflected in the ranking and when you get into these programs?
It could in some programs, but I think that's probably the overall intent. And, again, we talked about, the competitiveness of these. So the knee-jerk reaction is, man, I want to sign up and not let anybody else know because I'll have, more opportunity to get, because the money's finite. I mean, it's not unlimited amount of money, but that's really a counterintuitive thought to what you would think. So the way that this money is divided up nationally is the amount of proposals and contracts that are entered at an area level. An area comprises of several counties, but an area level. And so the more applications that are in that area, the more money that gets brought in from different places in the federal government. So I use this as an example: Mississippi versus Alabama, and it's probably $30 million more money in Mississippi than we have eligible in Alabama, and that's just a reflection of how many applications have been put in. The Mississippi NRCS program is really, really strong. They're really aggressive in going out and chasing that money and bringing that money back into the state. And our budget for these programs versus some of our neighboring states is a reflection of that.
Tennessee
no
also,
doubt about it.
Right? Yeah.
That's right.
You think some of that's driven by ag and the Delta?
It could.
So
it could be. I think that's probably where it started. There's a lot of, big lobbyist groups over there, and they're really aggressive on, bringing those opportunities back to the state. And we've got our leadership in our NRCS here in Mississippi has done a really, really good job.
There's value in that because, look, at the beginning we talked about that crop consultant background. You know your way around the programs.
Right.
You're familiar with the nuance of a lot of the programs and the specifics, and that advantage comes back to the landowner.
I'll tell you another thing that is handicapping some of these programs is they're cutting the NRCS and the FSA offices back so much. I mean, they're when Trump came in, they did that where they laid off all those workers, and then
Doge came in.
Doge come in, and then they let them come back. But now they're talking about not replacing them.
And
they offered a bunch of them to retire early, and I don't know if that's I don't know if it's just region, but that's federal, so it's nationwide, and you're losing good guys.
And it's unfortunate because the monies on the programs that we're talking about is still there at the same level. And I would argue probably even increasing. And we've got less manpower at the NRCS local levels to implement it.
And work.
So that's going to be less contracts and less applications.
Just because they can't get to it.
Too much work.
It's a lot of responsibility for a very very few people.
Another good reason to go through a consultant like Midsouth because that legwork's done. You're not counting on the guy in the office. To do something.
And we really want to play really well on both sides of that fence. Obviously, our loyalty is to the customer base that we're working for. But at the same time, if we can come alongside the local NRCS offices and
help them
and package this stuff up in a way to where it makes their job a lot more efficient and a lot easier.
Well, then they can get more applications in.
We want to be able to do that.
Look, this scales exactly as from a relatability standpoint. What I do in electric sometimes is facilitate, energy efficiency programs. And like if somebody wants to participate, I love it when a lighting vendor or an energy management company, and they're working through them because they do the same thing effectively. They package that application up. They've done the homework. I don't have to answer all the questions. And here I'd be in the position of like the NRCS guy. I don't have to. I've got 7 others over here. I don't have to do the legwork here. It's the same thing.
I want to
touch on one thing before we leave that subject is that, we're talking about Mississippi versus maybe some of the other states. Our NRCS leadership understood what it would take to bring that level of money in. That's having contracts and applications in those local offices. And so what they were doing is they were going out and soliciting that. Hey, back when we didn't have any money, let's put in applications. Let's do all that hard work.
Whether we get it or not.
Let's do that. And they had that vision, that foresight to know there's only one way that we're going to get more money, and that's to have more applications. So now come full circle, Mississippi's doing really well, but it's even still paying off in the fact that Mississippi will go through a round of funding. All right, and we just recently had this happen. So the applications were fulfilled. We ran out of money, and then we still had some left in the bank. Well, other states and other parts of the U.S. maybe don't use all their money, and so they reallocate that. And so then they're looking for states and areas that have applications that weren't fulfilled, and Mississippi's got both their hands raised. And so we're constantly getting money even after first round, second round, even third round of reallocation of money. Surplus of funds that come to us because we're ready and we're willing and capable of receiving that funds to put on those applications. So
that happened to one of the ones,
one
of our clients that y'all signed up. We didn't get it the first round, and all of a sudden they called them back a month later and said, hey,
we got another round of funding.
We got a round of funding. Yours got in.
Yep.
And when it did, we run up there like our tails been set on fire.
Or our NRCS at the administrative level is, I would say, best in the nation.
That's awesome.
Per capita, Mississippi is leading the charge on that.
That's
so I'm really
awesome.
proud of what they're doing.
And it kind of goes back to if I was an NRCS agent and you're helping me get all this paperwork and I'm making sure it's right, I'm making sure it's ethically right, I would love a good TSP guy to help me do that paperwork. Wouldn't you, Brent? And all I do is look at it, looks great, let's sign it, let's get it and put it in there. Because it's got to make you feel good to do that. And we got into one in one of our counties, and I ain't going to say his name, but couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah, that's right.
Couldn't have done it, and could not have done these contracts without him.
No, we got some really good support in our local offices.
Because they changed some rules on some of us, and he had that vision. Instead of throwing it in the trash can, he said, look, y'all meet with me. Let's figure out what we can do to make it work. And I'm gonna tell you something. That meant a lot to me.
Being able to think outside the box.
Seeing that guy, look, he didn't make $1 more.
Right.
But done his job, and that guy's gonna go somewhere in life. He's gonna get promoted. He is. He's that solid of a guy. And I really,
if he's got one
really
fan, it's us right now.
Well, he didn't have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I look at people. Look, I help people all day long. I do it all the time, especially my clients. That little bit of extra, they don't ask you to do it. It's got to be in you to do it. And I mean, you know, that's just how it is. That's how this life works. You know, and I'm gonna tell you, that guy, he done. I thought he didn't have to do what he did.
Right.
And hey,
we got some good
old
support.
buddy, if you're listening, you got a fan.
yeah.
So the other side of this thing, from a landowner standpoint, is so there's the application, all these things, but there's also, touch on this kind of sort of on the back end before we get too far down the road, is the actual work.
Yeah.
So Midsouth Resource Management, from a consulting standpoint, you're also you're not just an advocate, handling the application process and identifying and helping them get that competitive advantage to get approved.
Yeah.
But when then the landowner starts looking around, well, I don't have this equipment, I don't have this expertise, I'm not a burn manager.
But that money gives you
Midsouth Resource
to hire.
Management. That's the other service y'all offer.
Well, how about this? Pine plantation spraying.
Yeah.
I can't go out there and do it with a tractor or 4-wheeler. I've got to hire a.
Well, I've heard those nightmares of the guys that are just going down through the practice codes, and they're looking at price per acre. Oh, that looks good. That's a lot of money. This is picking this one a lot of money. They get funded, and they're looking around and said, "Man, I got no way to get this work done. I don't have any of the resources to be able to get that done." So that's something that we're very sensitive about, is making sure that when we're meeting the landowner's objectives, either the landowner can do it on their own, or we have a contractor that has the capability of doing it, to make sure that we're staying in compliance, they're doing it right, at the utmost integrity. And if we don't have somebody in our resource group that can get that done, we're not recommending that practice.
Got to.
Yeah.
Because
you're setting them up for failure.
No doubt.
All this work is
they audit you.
Vetted.
Right.
They audit you. And let me tell you, they audit you with, give me the money back.
Yeah. Well, the way that happens is you'll submit your proof of getting that work, and there's some
pictures,
applications to document that work correctly. That's got to be done right, and we'll help you with that too. But you'll submit that, and then a certain percentage of them will get audited, and
they have to.
We do all of them, like every one of them is going to get audited. We welcome that, and I think in the past it had been some abuse around that, and so the local offices are getting a lot better about. All right, we're fixing to.
We're going to say it again.
Out.
This ain't a program for you to go get you a new 4-wheeler or tractor.
That's right. Put some cash in your pocket.
You've got to do those practices.
Yeah.
You've got to do those enhancements.
And that's going to come
that's
out
bottom
of the front
line.
end when you're meeting with the landowner.
No doubt.
And
so that's part of that initial interview.
You're doing these things.
That's right.
So a lot of times you'll go ahead and set up, as I know you did with 2 of our clients. They're going to be spraying.
That's right.
So we've already got you lined up to spray in year 2 and 3. Pine plantations. One of them's 300-400 acres. You got to spray.
So and what Chris is alluding to is we want to make sure that any practice we're putting on the ground, that we have the capability within our group. Well, Midsouth Resource Management can be that contractor. Certainly doesn't have to. We'll work with any contractor. We've got a suite of contractors that can do work too. If they couldn't, we wouldn't be associated with them. So if you look at the program of putting it into place, helping with the application process, the administration, the stewardship through the plan, and then documenting the work, I would call that doing the work from the neck up. I mean, that's that type of work. But we also have contractors. Midsouth Resource Management is one of them, where you can also implement those practices from the neck down, to actually work and doing the grunt work of.
And here on a local, we throw this out there, Brent. One of our local guys got into the high-end rental business. Landman Rentals here in Columbus, Donnie Barksdale, and he got in it and got really nice mulchers, dozers.
Yep.
He'd never heard of CSP. And I started renting so as soon as I got some contracts in, I started renting his stuff. And look, I've widened roads. We've done road work. We've done widening, patch wildlife openings.
Yep.
That's another thing we didn't talk about, but Pacific. So much % of the acres in wildlife openings.
Yep.
But, that's another route that you can, but I keep up with take pictures, keep up with receipts, but I mean these high end rental companies have, and you're seeing a lot more rental machines out there that you can get. And now, if you don't know how to run a dozer, if you don't know how to run a mulch, you get your butt hurt. Don't go do it. But
yeah, road widening, and burning,
I mean, I'm telling you now,
things a little more
it sounds
involved.
great, but it's easier if you get somebody to do it that you trust. Say, hey, I mean, as soon as we got our contract, you went in and did some density habitat work for me. I could have done it, but I couldn't have done it as good as you done it. And so, I mean, just there's different options that you can
everything's
do.
got a cost, and even the landowner, and you use the renting the dozer as an example. I mean, you rent a dozer and put somebody on that's not a good operator versus paying somebody to come in that has a good operator. I would say the cost,
right.
may not
well,
even be in comparison.
You may think, I think I rent that dozer for $700-800 a day, but I had a jam up operator on it.
Right.
You got a dozer, you could have sent over there and done the job in 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
I had to rent it for 8 hours. I had to rent it for a day, and if I put a jack leg on it.
Why are you pointing at me?
Well, I'm just saying, jack leg.
I did. And thumb went right back over.
Man running old school camouflage. I'm just trying to. Anyway, I tell people this: there's nothing wrong with being conservative, but be smart.
Yeah.
If Uncle Jimmy was on a dozer one time over at Pete's house, he ain't no operator. Jimmy may crank it up, but he ain't no operator.
Well,
and that's the thing.
To bring it full circle, we're indifferent on how you get the work done. What we are not indifferent on is
not
that
doing
we're
the work.
Staying in compliance and making sure that we check all the
because
boxes.
It makes y'all look bad.
Right.
If some jackleg ain't doing the work, but he's cashing out them long wheelbase 10s.
Yeah.
That's
not
the
the customer
problem.
we're
So
looking
to that point, after that initial process, you sign up, application got approved. Y'all pretty close. Are y'all still involved and checking? Because I assume there's deadlines.
The whole 5-year
contract period.
No,
that
we'll
you
stay.
guys you're working with this
And so
landowner.
we're going to
all
be
the way
their
through.
accountability partner
Okay.
throughout.
That's
submit
CSP
stuff.
role
That's
doesn't end
right.
at approval of the application.
So there'll be, in the 5-year contract, there's different strategies on the way that you put those practices, on the ground. And so some practices need to be done before others on the ones that stack. And so, helping understand that. And so we may schedule, a different suite of practices on year 2, a different one on year 3, and a different one on year 4. And so keeping sure we're organized and keeping that, in line.
And that timeline probably went into that initial plan.
It absolutely
was very
did.
specific about when we do this because that would determine that ranking, the effectiveness of what you're trying to do.
And what Mitt's trying to say, if he's got stuff in burning and thinning, you're going to thin first, year 1, burn year 3, year 5.
Right.
So one practice has to be done before the other 2 practices.
That's right.
And sometimes it pays like that. You do that practice, you have to do the other 2 practices to get the money.
And that's all in the strategy of setting that up that needs to be thought out on the front end that, maybe a lot of people don't think about that could put them in a suite of practices that aren't as applicable, don't rank as high. There's a lot of options there where people can get that wrong. So we want to make sure that we get that right.
So early on, we mentioned the possibility of some of these older previous cost share programs maybe being an encumbrance, like if you had a property in CRP, turn around and sell. So if somebody's enrolled in CSP, does it stay with the land or the owner?
So,
how do you know how that works?
I do know how that works. It's interesting that you brought that up because there's several landowners that are using that as a carrot on their land sale. So they're intentionally enrolling the CSP knowing that they're going to sell it for that added value. And so the way that will happen when that transfers, the new landowner gets the option. He can opt in or opt out.
Okay.
And so, it's no encumberment to staying in the CSP. But
you just don't
Chris,
get the money.
how many tracts have that you potentially would buy that you would be excited about having $125,000 worth of improvements that you were going to do anyway that came with the land?
It'd be.
Very good.
That's
that goes to the point where potentially that is a big value add to a seller.
And there's some
sellers,
potential sellers out there with a little bit of forethought can enroll this. Not only are we increasing the land value as we're doing the work, but also leaving some meat on the bone with the contract.
Buyer,
so, if you're thinking about selling your land in the next 2 to 3 years,
Don't let it be a deterrent.
That could arguably be an asset to the land instead of a.
And if you're buying, if you're that buyer in the market, you talk to your agent about looking for this. This is a potential. You may give preference to a property where it speaks to the intentionality of that previous owner, and that we've always said adds value to that property, having a plan.
Well, and having it where it's a roadmap already set up for him.
Yep.
A lot of people want to do this work. I love to do it, but I got a good doctor that we're signing up this year, good buddy of mine, and a good conservative guy, but he's too busy.
Yeah.
Got 3, 4, 5 kids, and he wants to do all this work, but he don't have the time.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you what he's going to do. We're going to sign him up, and if he gets it, he's going to have us do the work and keep him in compliance and enjoy the work that we've done for him. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So there's a lot of opportunity around this program. Look, we've identified opportunity for the landowner, the potential landowner, the buyer,
contractors,
for the consultant, for the contractor that can get out there and do
rental
work
guys. I mean,
there's a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knew George Ballard, good friend of mine, good conservative guy, landowner. I never knew it. He done it twice, and got it. And at the time, he was
landowners know about.
Hey, he was the first one to ever get it in that county. I think it's Pickens County, Alabama, and he'd done it twice. And he told me the benefits of it because I was down there one day. He was burning. He said, "I'm doing this CSP stuff," and I'm like, "I've heard that Mitt talk about CSP, but I thought that was for farming." You know, and it just.
So that's a good point. There's 3 categories that are eligible for CSP. So there's pasture and range land, forestry, and agriculture.
Do y'all do some of the
absolutely all 3 of them?
Y'all do all of them. Okay.
Absolutely.
I knew you did the agriculture and the forestry but I mean it's out there.
That's right.
And like you said, if we don't ask for it, when I started off, I worked for the Corps of Engineers, and September rolled around, we was buying everything we could do to spend that money, so the next year budget, the government could justify giving it back. Because if you don't spend it, they take it away.
Somebody else going to get it.
Some other group will get it. And I remember, boy, we'd do so much work in September back then in them days.
Inside baseball.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, so I understand the thing, and look, some of these guys that's on some of these committee, or know some of these FSA committee, they need to talk to them about trying to get some more of that money.
No doubt about it.
Because that's a big thing.
Yeah.
We know some that's on our local levels that we're good friends with, and look, they'll help you if you ask them. Say, hey, man, state of Alabama, look, there's more timberland in Alabama than there is in Mississippi.
Yeah, no doubt.
They need to be getting it.
I
mean, we shouldn't be beating them $30 million.
Yeah. Y'all's listenership is worldwide now, Brent. So, so I'm not expecting just to be Mississippi. So if we got neighboring states and you're having a hard time getting funding, go talk to your guys. Tell your guys, look, I'm interested in this.
And we got a lot of listeners from Texas. There's some stuff out in some of that's thinning that density. I mean, we look at it as pines and trees and hardwood, but I mean, a lot of that's brush stuff out there. Every state's got it. And look, here's the thing. I was in New Mexico hunting, and they were putting wildlife openings in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And every wildlife opening I was turkey hunting around, elk, scat, elk droppings everywhere, deer were sucking to it. And they were killing cedars and making wildlife openings.
Yep.
Okay? And they were doing it, a lot of fire, New Mexico will burn too if you don't watch it. And so they were doing a lot of that stuff. They were doing a lot of that CSP type work over there. And they were even, because I asked the guy, they had a group of Mexican guys, and they were going there and thinning timber by hand. I mean, timber this big, just leaving it laying on the ground. I said, why ain't they picking that timber up? He said they paying them. And I think that one, just being funny, was like $6,000 an acre.
Yeah.
That they were paying those people to thin because of that fire.
And they see the importance of that.
Yeah. Well, I think the government and Trump sees the importance of that fire, and we just get
money to fight a fire,
and we get the benefits of it.
What are we not asking, Mitt? What do we leave? What do we leave on the table?
Yeah, just I think in sum up, there are a lot of opportunities out there, whether it be federal or state level. We didn't really cover it, but the Fire on the 40, you mentioned it, Chris, is a state level Mississippi Department of Wildlife and Fisheries and Parks. I'm gonna give a lot of credit to our John Grucci, our buddy
John,
here.
pretty sharp dude now.
Yeah, and he worked really, really hard
to get that money.
Fire on the 40, it started a prescribed fire, but it's a lot bigger than its name applies now. And there's opportunities for mulching, different practices, prescribed fire, herbicide applications. It's a lot more robust than the fire on the 40 may imply. It's up to 75% cost share, so a lot of really good opportunities at the Mississippi local level. That's one opportunity. So really, it's just know that if you're a landowner trying to accomplish a game plan on your track, more than likely there's some opportunities that you can get some assistance to come alongside you that can carry that thing out, faster, better, smarter than maybe what I could do on my own.
Yeah, and again, that fire on the 40, the applications are ranked.
Yep.
Based on how impactful they are.
That's right.
By the benefit.
Yep.
So it's not just first. It's not first in, first come, first serve.
Yep.
And some
Before-
counties get preference in fire on the 40.
Before we kill this one, let's make a little cheat sheet. Number one is to find a TSP if there's one possible to help you do this. If you can't find one, number one, farm and track number.
Yep.
You go to FSA, Farm Service Agency does your farm and track number, not NRCS.
That's right.
Okay, they're usually in the same
Take
office.
your deed.
Take your deed, take a map, take information, who you got it from, or if you got it from Pawpaw or inherited as a family. And look, if you inherited some land, and there's 4 or 5 of y'all in that could be 4 or 5 Social Security numbers. So it ain't got to be one individual
Well, it doesn't
land.
have
It can be
anything to do
multiple
with-
owned land.
It doesn't have anything to do with ownership.
That's right.
I mean, you can do
Yeah.
that in a lease agreement too.
Right.
That's what I was going to ask.
So
too,
we're
is
getting into some
if
technical
if
stuff
you're-
there.
Yeah, well, if you're leasing, the other thing is if you're somebody's leasing land, you may not own the land. It is always, I don't know if you can overstate the benefit from a leasing. I'm leasing land from you. If I can go to my landowner and show some value
And help him.
then I'm less likely to lose that
Right.
lease. I'm a
Yes.
valuable person. Or if you're not leasing, if you're hunting by permission,
Yeah.
if you got something you can take back to that landowner and say, hey, here's an opportunity here.
Mitt,
Again,
when
increasing land value.
and it's nationwide, when do the contracts usually, y'all getting ready to sign
So-
up people now because we're signing some people
Right.
up now.
So the deadlines that you probably need to be aware of on CSP is coming up, around October, 1st October, and that can change a little bit.
Okay.
And so you'll make sure we have our application in by October, and then we'll have our plan put together by the first of the year. And
Submitted to 'em.
it's submitted to them by the first year, and there'll be another deadline there, and then they'll take it from there to rank it, and we'll hear about it.
Ranking
whether
is
it's
different,
successful.
y'all, because we just heard about them, a month ago?
Yeah.
Our first rankings
Well,
that come in?
May, June is generally
Yeah.
when we'll hear if we're successful or not. But that's really
And tax,
the timelines.
I hear people all the time, am I going to have to pay tax on the money?
it's no different than
No,
any other expense.
If you use it all.
right, if you expense that money out, you pay no taxes
No
on
taxes.
on that expense.
So
money,
layman
just like
terms,
any
if you get
income and expense.
over 5-year period, you get 100,000. Let's make it easy. Okay, $20,000 a year. You
Is he
expense.
going to get into some CPA
Yeah,
tax law here?
Yeah, because it helps people. Because people, I don't want to do with it. I don't pay taxes. If you expense that 20 every year, you pay no taxes.
Right.
But now, if you don't, somehow you didn't get, it rained on you, couldn't get burned or something, it rolls over, you would have to pay taxes on some of it.
Well,
That's the,
you don't.
It's
Well, number
real
one,
specific.
It
way
is
tax.
now.
the way that this thing's laid out,
I'm back at it. I'm gonna
yeah,
mute my
they're not
mic.
paying you until you get the work done.
that's right.
And so there'll be no tax.
Yeah,
tax
but if you
liability
kept up
there.
with it,
It's not income
but to
there.
tell people, if you get the money, and we have seen some people get 400,000, but a lot of practice, big tract of land, but as long as you expense it, because Mitt, we went to one of my clients, what's the first thing they asked you? Well, we're going to have to pay taxes on it. Well, are we going to have to pay the landowner? We're going to have to pay the stuff before we get the money.
Well, just to be clear,
People are funny about it.
If you receive $100,000, for example, and you get the practices done for 80, there's 20 left there that will be profit, and then the IRS is going to view that as profit.
Yes.
You'll
No
be paying
matter what.
taxes,
No
no matter
matter
what.
CSP or whatever.
Whether
No
you're picking up
different than any
cans,
Yeah.
sell
right.
widgets or CSP
Yeah.
money. It's all the same.
And look, we'll have more stuff out. So Midsouth
Yep.
Resource Management, Wildlife
Yes.
Investments,
Yeah.
a lot of
Yes.
outlets where we'll be putting stuff out
Yes.
on
Yeah.
social media, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can look. They can call you.
Feel free to
We've
call
got
me.
your
I guess you can put
contact.
the show notes up there
Yeah.
with some contact
Yeah.
information.
Well,
yeah.
It's a good program. Now I'm trying to manage for big whitetail deer, okay, and turkeys. That's my goal. And I'm doing it through butterflies and bats and everything else. So I'm getting it done through something that I would have never knew about if it wouldn't have been for y'all. And I mean, that's just how it is. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
And we're fools not to sign up and try to get the money. And if you got somebody doing it, look, I've had to sign my signature about 17,000 times.
I may end up having to print that out. I don't know.
But
Right.
we'll
Yeah.
talk
anyway,
about it.
That's kind of intimidating there. Not quite that many.
But anyway, 2 meetings,
Yeah.
and it's done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. They send you a thing that says, hey, when they ask you for the copy of that check, so they get that route number, hey, you done made it home.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, good. Well, thank y'all for your time.
Heck yeah, hey, man, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I miss being in here.
Yeah.